Welcome to another episode of Israeli Frenemies from Tel Aviv. Together with me today is Ram Shmueli, a former commander and a pilot, a fighter jet pilot in the Israeli Air Force. Hi, Ram.
Hi.
We have a very busy show today, very intense. So let's get started.
In just a short period of time, the world's leading state sponsor of terror will be on the cusp of acquiring the world's most dangerous weapons. Therefore, I am announcing today that the United States will withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal.
Yesterday we witnessed one of the heaviest bombardment of the Israeli Air Force in Syria in the last, from 1974. But it haven't started yesterday.
Yeah, we know, and it wasn't actually about Syria, it was about Iran, soldiers, army bases, weapons in Syria and against bases of the Iranian regime that are being built there. So I think it was actually the way of Israel saying we are serious on this issue. We are not going to allow Iran to have its own army in Syria after the civil war is almost over. And you know, until today we saw some attacks, but this is something unique. We didn't see such an attack, as you said, for many years.
So actually what's happened yesterday, the Iranians launched 20 rockets to the northern part of Israel as they promised to retaliate on any kind of confrontations that have been happening in the last couple of weeks. And actually this was the first shooting of Iranian from Syria to Israel. This is something that we put as a red line. So the Air Force took off with many airplanes, and we launched hundreds of missiles to some tens of targets in Syria, but all of them Iranian target, up to the point when the Syrian army, even though we don't have anything against Syria, the Syrian army launches an air defense rocket and missiles against our airplanes. So we not only yesterday took and diminished many Iranian targets in Syria, we also took some of the air defense batteries of the Syrian army that were launching toward our airplanes. So every battery that launched a missile against our airplane was destroyed.
I think first of all we have to mention that no Israeli got hurt, not from the missiles, and all the airplanes came back, and we as an Israeli we are very happy about it. And there is also a feeling among all of the Israelis, almost all of the Israelis, of, I will not say happiness, but people feel a bit relieved because they feel that we had a success last night to attack the bases of Iran. But there is also a big fear about what will happen day after. And there are actually two questions here on the table. First of all, whether this round of violence over, and starting today, Israel is safer, and we are not going to see developing a war against Iran in the immediate time. And the second question is whether this is really a possible target to say to the Iranians, you cannot come into Syria anymore, because there is a chance that the Iranian will keep on trying to establish new bases and to repair all the infrastructure and eventually to create an army there. Are we going to really see ourselves fighting with Iran on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? And what are the chances of escalation and Israelis got killed or hurt because of this war between Israel and Iran?
First of all, I advise ourselves to be modest. But yesterday we sent two clear messages. First of all, you said, we send a clear message to the Iranian regime that we are not going to tolerate any kind of infrastructure, military infrastructures that are forward and target toward Israel. Secondly, we haven't planned, but once the Syrian joined the fighting and launched rockets against our airplanes, so we sent a second message. The Syrian army are not going to be free to operate itself and to protect the Iranian by attacking Israel. So in those two messages, we try to draw a line of what are the limitations of Israel. No, we are not looking for any kind of a confrontation with
But you know
Iranian.
that there is also...
No, I can't predict and I can't tell you what the Iranian will do. I advise ourselves to be very serious with the Iranian on one hand, but let me tell you about the Israelis. Yesterday, when you listen to news from abroad in Israel, you think that all the Israelis are under shelters. Not only that we are not under shelters.
The question is not whether we are not, but the question is whether we are going to be. And there is also a big question about how Israel can confront Iran in the north with Syria, maybe Iran with Lebanon, maybe Iran directly, and we still have Gaza and the Palestinian East Jerusalem, etc. It's not a game. It's not something. It's not what we used to fighting with Hamas. That it's... You know, it's dangerous, but it's not risking the existence of Israel. When we are talking about Iran, we are talking about a real strong enemy, maybe the strongest in the region, and we even feel the beginning of that. Whether Israel can really defend itself when you have so many fronts all around the state of Israel.
War is not a game, and we are not looking for a war. I believe that the Iranians are not looking for a war as well. To tell you more than that, I think that the Iranian people are willing, like we will, to have some good relationship
with
the Iranian people. Nevertheless, since the Iranian regime, I think they don't represent the Iranian people, but they do. Hassan Soleimani, he's the one who led the attack against Israel last night. He's the one who sent the drone against Israel.
Yeah, but he's a representative of Iran.
Absolutely.
We are saying that the address is Iran. So the question is whether Iran eventually, the regime of Iran...
What is the alternative, Yariv? The alternative, as you try to explain, is let's be cautious. Let's maybe give up something.
I will say that thing. First of all, when you don't have any casualties in your side, there is almost 100% of support of the government and the decision taken by the government together with the army. The question will be what will happen the day after. And I think that there is a point in which Iran regime will not have a choice but to retaliate and to really attack Israel, not with 20 small missiles.
Don't make a fear,
fear
about Iran. I want to tell you about something about war. The Iranian army is very strong, but the Iranian army is not here yet. It's not here.
They do have missiles that can attack us. They have Hezbollah. I think that
we are here. We have the Air Force. Last night we used 30 airplanes when we have hundreds of airplanes. The Iranian knows what we can do. Yesterday we have the biggest attack with 30 airplanes. Let's imagine what we can. So the issue is to deter them and to prevent the next war. The same things happen with Lebanon. I think that Lebanon, even though it's very dangerous because Hezbollah has hundreds and thousands of rockets, nevertheless, there was an election. And since the elections, they are more part of the government.
Definitely.
And they are more responsible. And as Netanyahu has said very clearly, this time it won't be running about the rocket of Hezbollah.
I agree with you.
So I think that we have to be very cautious. I think that we have to be modest. But first of all, I think we have to be prepared. The Air Force commander is a farmer like me. The Deputy Air Force commander is a farmer like me. Those are very responsible people. And we have to be
but
very
the question
ready
is not just the
to
people
the
in the
next
army,
round.
it's also the politician. And eventually, you agree with me that if you want to be honest and modest, you need to understand that it's all taking risks. And the question is always... Well, President Trump made a promise in his election campaign to move the embassy, the American embassy, from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. The first American president that is actually saying that he is going to do it, not just in the election campaign, but also after it. And he signed the order, and next week, the ceremony on Monday, the embassy is going to move to Jerusalem. Actually, it's more symbolic. Most of the embassy will stay in Tel Aviv, but the sign, the name is going to be in Jerusalem. And this is a very sensitive issue, the Jerusalem issue. It's a sensitive issue because it's the major part of the conflict between us and the Palestinians. And we are not just talking about the capital of Israel, we are talking about a city that has 300,000 Palestinians living in this city. It's the city that the Palestinians see as the capital of the future Palestinian state. And when America is making such a unilateral move, moving the embassy to Jerusalem, but not opening a Palestinian embassy in East Jerusalem, it's actually saying to the Palestinians, listen, the two-state solution, it may be history, because if there is not a deal on Jerusalem, there will not be a deal between Israel and Palestine. So I see this action as a provocative action in order to say to the Palestinian, Jerusalem is not for you anymore, go out or forget the dream. And I think that in this climate that we are talking about, the Middle East and so many forces here, it's also responsible to do it at that time.
I'm surprised because Jerusalem has been our capital in the last 3,500 years, on and off, since we haven't been here all the last
also
3,500.
a symbolic capital.
A symbol for the last 35 when King David had Jerusalem as his capital. And so it's very natural that our capital, this is our real capital for the last 70 years. And many countries do not agree to about the capital of Israel as Jerusalem. So they play the game. They come and meet our leaders in Jerusalem because this is our capital. So for me, it's very natural. It started from the Bible. It's 70 times the name of Jerusalem is in the Bible. Not one time in the Quran. But this is not who is right and who is wrong. This is the issue that we have to put it very clearly, that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. I'm not the one who is in charge to say what is the capital of the Palestinian Authority. Today, it's Ramallah. But this is not my position to say it.
But you know that this act of America is not just saying Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. It's also by actually saying to the Palestinians the opposite. This is the reason why all the countries, including the European Union and other friends of Israel, Germany, they are not moving their embassy as well because they understand it.
They will change their mind.
And you know, when
they will change their mind.
I doubt it, but you know, when Netanyahu and Trump is doing it, they also has motivation, political and ideological motivation, actually to say that Jerusalem united under our own sovereignty forever and ever. And you said about playing in
game. What is the interest of America? Trump, to tell you the truth,
maybe Trump is taking this direction as well, unfortunately, because this is anti-peace direction. But I will tell you something about...
He look at it very natural. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Very clear, like we look at it. This is the president of America.
There is a question. What are the borders of Jerusalem? And whether Jerusalem is also the capital of the future Palestinian state.
But this is not the declaration. The declaration is telling that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. Nobody is talking now about the capital of the Palestinian Authority, which is not a sovereign state yet. Nobody is trying to prevent from someone else. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel. So let's be proud and be part of the very historical event.
I'm very proud
that the President Trump is declaring, like all the American people, that this is the capital of Israel. Very simple.
It's not so simple.
You know what is the abbreviation?
You know, maybe I believe in peace, but I'm not such a naive person.
You know what is the abbreviation of KISS? KISS, keep it stupid and simple.
I don't think...
It's very simple. Jerusalem is the capital of Israel.
I will tell you, first of all, it's stupid to do it right now when you have so many risks. And if people are going to lose their life for this symbol act, this ceremony, I think it's totally useless. More than that, I'm looking for Jerusalem to be a city of peace, not a city of conflict. And when you are doing it, regardless of the Palestinian, just ignore them and saying to them, actually, go away. This is the way to say to them, the only way that you can change your destiny.
You go in the old city.
You
go in the old city.
Sometimes.
You feel safe.
No. Not in the last few months.
I go there every week.
See that statistic about people
every week
being
and I feel
there.
safe. The only one that can keep Jerusalem, the holy place, safe is Israel.
Ram, you said,
the only one.
You said playing games, and I'm asking you whether we are playing games, because Jerusalem is the only...
About the capital, we don't play games.
Let me ask you. Okay. Jerusalem is the only capital in the world that 300,000 of its people that live in there are not citizens of the state that this is the capital. Because the
Ah,
Arabs
this is not
live
accurate.
They are
It's
not,
not accurate.
citizens. They are residents. They cannot vote for the parliament. And this is because we also don't see Jerusalem as united. And the question is not about Jerusalem. The question is about East Jerusalem. The question is about what to do with refugee camps that were annexed into Israel.
Refugees,
I don't think that they are
70 years ago, refugees, there is no place in the world.
You should go there and
that
you'll see
I've
that this
been
is
there
a
many
refugee.
times.
Here you are people that you are...
In the last couple of weeks, we are witnessing a very widespread of demonstration along the border of Israel from Gaza. Just want to remind our audience that Gaza Strip is not Israel anymore, but they're trying to demonstrate in order to go into the fence. And since they can't cross the fence, so they decided to use some very cheap but smart way to burn the fields of the agriculture and the farmers across the fence. This is something that looks like very weak.
Harmless, I would say.
Harmless,
Yeah.
but this is something very dangerous for us because I'm as a farmer, I know once you burn my field and burn my trees, this is something that tell me, hey, we don't want you here. So the Hamas and the Palestinians from Gaza Strip, they want to go back to the land, what they believe this is their lands, but they are in Gaza Strip. And we are now trying to protect our farmers against this cheap weapon, but very effective weapon.
You know, we started our show about Iran, and this is a real threat to Israel. It's a missiles, we are talking about airplanes, we are talking about... This is also a threat, but this is a threat being fighting Israel are teenagers, sometimes even kids, that are making these threats into Israel. And you know, it's not just Hamas, it's the people of Gaza. And we are not in Gaza, but we are all around Gaza. And these people don't really think about coming here to Tel Aviv. Maybe they want to, but they know that they will never. They want to have freedom. They want to have some kind of economy. They want to have chance in their life. They are our neighbors. And we control them.
No,
and we are saying we control the borders. Who is in control of the borders?
We don't control the border with Egypt.
Who is blockade Gaza? This is the official policy of the State of Israel, that Gaza is under blockade.
But we blockade Gaza only to prevent them to use some cement and other materials to build rockets, which they do.
That's not
and
exactly
to build
true.
tunnels, which they do. This is not true.
No,
this is fact.
Because
how can you say that it's not true?
Because the motivation of the Israeli government to blockade Gaza is not just about these tunnels and missiles. It's about taking down the Hamas government. And you spoke, by the way, about Hezbollah, saying that Hezbollah should show responsibility. Also, Hamas is showing responsibility as taking in charge Gaza. And look what happened in Gaza. We are shooting at this demonstration live ammunitions. People are being killed, and they are not shooting any missile coming back to Israel. This is because of Hamas, because Hamas understand that today fighting with terror is wrong.
Yes.
And I think that the solution, actually there is a problem, we need to look at the solution. My solution to the problem is to give the people of Gaza some hope, to lower down the blockades over Gaza, to negotiate with Hamas, to open the door for negotiation. We have to fight Iran, but we have to find a way to have peace with our neighbors. I wish that we will be so determined to get peace like we are determined to get victory in war.
The one thing that I fully agree with you, that those people need hope. But the address is not only Israel. The address is the regime. Hamas is the regime and controlling Gaza Strip. So if they need hope, they can go to Hamas. And Hamas can change their policy. They can have an international conference with many, many donors, like it have done in 1993. It can be done again. And so Hamas have to choose new way. I think that once we see a new policy, Israel will support it.
I
Okay,
agree with you.
Ram Shmueli will support it.
I agree with you that we need to look for a political channel as well. But let's be honest, Hamas is not going to become a Zionist. Hamas is still going to...
Zionist. Take care of your own people. This is not Zionism.
But they will also say, we need to keep our weapons. We cannot take off our weapons and day after we will be kicked away. But you know, this problem of agriculture being destroyed by people is not just next to Gaza, it's also all around Israel. You know it very closely because you are involved in the Shomer organization that is keeping the farmers in Israel more safe. What is your take on that?
The issue of burning fields in Israel, it is not something that a farmer, Arab farmer or Jewish farmer, light another farmer.
Do you call it terror?
Absolutely. It is not farmers to farmers.
It's not just terror, it's also about economic gap, and it's also about stealing.
First of all, it's terror, and more than that, I tell you, and I have some information, there is pumping of money from abroad to those terror organizations inside Israel in order to make us give up.
We had a very intense stance because it's intense time, but Israel is also a fun place. And we just had our Giro d'Italia cycling tour inside Israel, very close to this studio as well. I saw it. It was really moving to feel normality. And we also have a Eurovision Song Contest coming soon, and there are a lot of good chances that our singer, Neta Barzilai, is going to win. So this is my positive remarks for the next coming days, to feel that we are also in a normal place, a normal society, a liberal and open one, and also doing songs and sports.
I feel that we have a lot of normal things that happening. I just happened to come now, 2 hours ago, from a big conference. Many displays, 600 Israeli startup and innovation on agriculture. We export Israeli agriculture innovation all over the world. I've seen the Indians that are coming from China, from all over the world, from Africa. They came to Israel only to study how the Israelis are doing good agriculture and new innovation. And the issue is that the farmers, since I'm a farmer, the farmer of Israel are part of the big change of the world. We are exporting our knowledge to all over the world to have more food, more healthy food, and this is a real thing that
what we are looking for is security and peace, and hopefully we will be able to export that as well. Thank you very much, Ram. It was a pleasure to have you. Thank you for watching, and let's meet next time. Bye-bye from Israel.
Thank you.
Thanks.